मॅम इथे समोर
लाइट लगाना पड़ेगा। नाम क्या है?
या प्लीज या का येऊ दे
I was at your place and then I missed everything in back. मैं एक्चुअली आपकी जगह पे था। I know फिर हम मैच निकल गया। डॉक्टर वो पीछे लेकिन सर
ऑल्सो लुक हियर प्लीज योर सेंटर यस मैम सेंटर में देखिए थैंक यू छोड़ दो
हाँ ओके
आमिर रुको ना आमिर
वेट सर सामने आओ मैम वेट टेक मिनट
आमिर सर यहाँ पर लेफ्ट आमिर सर लेफ्ट आमिर सर सेंटर साहब लेफ्ट सर यहाँ पे
Okay, so now just cut it and go.
वेट फोटोग्राफर पीछे थोड़ा पीछे प्लीज रिक्वेस्ट है फोटोग्राफर पीछे दादा मोबाइल से आपका फोटोग्राफर दादा
थोड़ा डाउन होके मारो सर प्लीज
सो सर सामने यो थोड़ा मारियो ना
एक मिनट जरा थांबा
अरे हाँ हो गया
निकाली जाऊ तुझ्या मध्ये नाही ना काही सोयीमध्ये नाही
नाही तुम्हाला वायफाय चालू देऊ So left please here. Here.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much. We have the function, so now we can take pictures. Huh? Come below. So as soon as we finish. Nikki.
सर सामने यो अभी सर सामने यो अभी सर सामने यो
मैम बुक्स इधर रखिए ना
Come namas. And namas. You just brother with Nikki and Aina. Aina and namas is down.
Not much actually. I got delayed in leaving. One of my meetings got stretched and I didn't realize the time. Then I had to rush. Yeah.
Can I request one of you wonderful guys to take a picture on my phone? Thank you.
Yeah, somebody do my phone.
Thank
lost shoes on the way. And so I'm so glad that this exhibition is moved out of, our living room and our homes into the halls of the Jehangir Art Gallery here today. So thanks so much for being here, and I hope you enjoy the exhibitions in the book. And over to you, Rajesh.
Thank you, Nikki and Diana. Daughters always inspire us all, and I think I speak on behalf of none of us that we're so blessed to have them, and of course our daughter-in-laws in our lives. On behalf of Namaste, I'd like to begin by thanking you. I know it is customary to have a vote of thanks at the end of the function and to have the introduction in the beginning. But at this moment, both Namaste and I are so overwhelmed with a sense of gratitude for everything that has happened regarding the Kumbh Mela till today, that I hope you pardon us if we begin with thank you first and then with an introduction. I feel an enormous sense of gratitude to have been born in this country, to have grown up in this country, and to have had an opportunity to experience our extraordinary cultural tradition, which has been inclusive for 4,000 years. At the Kumbh Mela, we saw people of all religions from all over the world. So we feel a deep sense of gratitude to have been born in this rich, diverse and tolerant culture, to have been a part of it, and to have experienced the Kumbh Mela as, calling the microcosm. There were 650 million people there, but compared to the world and the country, it's still a microcosm of humanity. I particularly on behalf of both of us want to thank all of you who are here for having come to attend this function at such incredibly short notice. The Jehangir Art Gallery gets booked 7 years ahead. If you book today, you will get a booking 7 years from now. And every now and then, there is a cancellation. Somebody who booked 5 years ago doesn't want to do the exhibition. So I got a call, I was in Cairo a few days ago, saying that there is a cancellation, and we were on the cancellation list, they do for trains and flights, and said, would you like to do it now? So I said, can I let you know tomorrow? And they said, no, we'd like to know now because there are other people who want it. So having full faith in the incredible support team and in our families, I said yes, right away, we'll do it. And then we had barely 10 days to put all this together, and we didn't want to send a single invite out until we really had our photographs there. So the last print came in last night, and that's why we were not able to give you the notice that you need in your incredibly busy lives, and therefore are deeply touched that despite the short notice, all of you have come here to be with us. Of course, I want to thank again on behalf both Shobha and Aamir. It would be a cliche to say that they are busy. We know the lives they lead, but they're here for a reason. And that reason is not just because they're amazing celebrities, that's only a part of the reason. They're very close friends of ours. Firoza and I particularly consider ourselves to be blessed to have them as friends in our lives for so many years. And there's a couple of qualities that they share is their integrity. The amazing integrity, intellectual honesty that both of them have, combined with fearlessness. They have never hesitated to speak out their mind, regardless of how it is perceived in political circles or in cultural circles. And for that, I think they continue to inspire many of us. And it is this fearlessness and intellectual integrity that draws us to them. We'd like to thank the Jehangir Art Gallery, of course, for making this available to us. Mrs. Menon, who has managed this gallery for more than 50 years and I brought us to Shobha, for making that call and saying, let us know today whether you want it or not. Had they given us more time, we might have chickened out of it. And of course, the selection committee. We had submitted our work some years ago, and I think it was very kind of them to consider these pictures as worthy of being displayed in their prime gallery, the auditorium gallery. And Vilas Jadhav, can you please stand up? Vilas is the person who does our printing for us. He's been working with me for 20 years. And my confidence in his saying, Apan Karna, Guna, is such that I didn't even have to ask him. Okay, Vilas, should I say yes for getting these printed? I said yes, and I called him, and I told him, Vilas, and I said, okay, come here. And he has worked day and night. You know, we get credit sitting up here. There are people like Vilas who work day and night in the background to put this together. And of course, there is the amazing team at Jack Printers. Xenia, she isn't here today. Xenia Patel is here. Please stand up. They work in the book, and I think we are not easy people to work with. We are not easy people to work with. We made them print several things over and over again, colors, punctuation marks, but they did it. So deeply appreciate you doing it. Angela, Disha from White Market, our event managers who put all this together, incredibly short notice. Thank you so much for doing this. And of course, Namas, this would really not be possible. Namas and I have been very close friends. Namas and I have been very close friends for more than 4 decades. We photographed each other's weddings. I sent Namas's photographs to him within a week of taking those pictures. I'm waiting 40 years for the photographs to come to me from Namas. But he was much faster on the Kumbh Mela than he was in the wedding. And finally, of course, we have to thank our families, our wonderful spouses, Sari is right, as always. Firoza, you continue to inspire us. And both of you put up with incredibly difficult people, prone to periods of silence and withdrawal and mere meditative effort in our work. So thank you not just for supporting us, but for tolerating us. To our children, Aina, the last time I had an exhibition here in 2005, and I see some familiar faces over there on the Shade exhibition. Aina was a little girl flying in a red dress, running in circles around. She was running around. She was having like a playground. And today she's such a lovely, young, accomplished lawyer. And I felt so much pride, as I'm sure you from us, to see her here, introducing us. So thank you. Daughters do wonders for us. They've been flowers which are put up over there. The boys asked us what's on the menu, what time is the food coming in. But they also support us. We thank our 6 children, Swapi and Meena, Manu and Shivani, they're not listening, chatting about it. Nikki and Paige, 6 of them, we're so lucky to have them in our lives. And they make everything worthwhile. And they too also put up with us, pull us up, and encourage us. So thank you, everybody. I know it's a long word of thanks, but now my heart is a little lighter, and now I'll be able to talk about the thanks. Otherwise, I'm going to stop in the moment. Shobha, please.
Dating after a few years, I've followed your work for decades. And I want to actually kick this off by asking not a difficult question. I mean, a book like this, a creative, collaborative book, you're a neuropsychiatrist, but you're also a poet, a painter, and much else, Rajesh. And his approach would be a more journalistic approach, because that is your background and your training. And you've been nominated for the Pulitzer for your work as
as a photojournalist. So when you go to something as overwhelming as the Maha Kumbh, what is it? Do you collaborate on the approach of what kind of pictures you're going to take? You take them independently, like you do your thing and I'm going to do my thing. Actually, we need more mics here, those will be. He said you're the photographer, so you go first. So are you, Rajesh?
Alright, you must receive it around those without. You had a right to speak first, but now that you passed it on to me, you know, when I met Namas 40 years ago, I'll never forget that day. He was 18, so it was more than 40 years ago. And I was somewhat older, and we were introduced to each other. And I said, I'm Rajesh, I'm studying medicine at the JS Medical College. And he said, I'm Namas. So I said, what do you do? He didn't say a word. He handed over 6 incredible photographs that he had taken in Pondicherry. And Namas has always been like that. His work speaks, he's silent, he observes very critically, and he records. So I'm not surprised. I did warn him before this. Namas, you only do half the talking. And he didn't reply. So, you know, Namas will have to say something. But he smiles. Our collaboration was simple. About a month and a half before the Kumbh Mela, Namas sent me a text message saying, would you like to go photograph the Kumbh Mela? All of you, my friends, know how horrible I am in technology, particularly in cell phones. I didn't own one in the pandemic. And I saw it at late night and said, yes, that's the moment our collaboration started. We went together, we went separately. We spent almost 30 out of 45 days of the Kumbh Mela. And I don't think we told each other, it's not a photograph. Maybe sometimes we said we should get the possession. But we did our own work independently. When the photographs were ready, there were a few thousand. Gave the job of selecting them, so we narrowed them down. And then we said we should come down to at least 200 before we narrow down. And it was just strange that I think about 65% of the photographs Namas selected were mine, and only 45% were his. On the other hand, I think I was more objective because 80% of the pictures I selected were his, and only 20% were mine. And this went on, and then we got the great Vilas involved. And it's just a miracle that Vilas, not knowing who has taken which photograph, selected exactly 50%, not 51-49. Vilas, you think it is by and 50% of the pictures were of each of us. Namas was happy, I was disappointed because I truly feel. I'm not saying this because he's here, he is a great photographer. I didn't know the Pulitzer Prize was some years ago. He's been nominated for it. His work has appeared in Time, in the New York Times, the Washington Post, all of that. So, watching Namas at work, watching the intensity with which he works, the silence, near meditative approach, was also a great learning experience. I think I've spoken a lot. You have to speak.
Hello? Yeah. You all know about Rajesh, Firoza. We are not just friends, but it's a privilege to be knowing him for so long. We are just wonderful human beings. So, firstly, I want to thank, of course, our guests and their whole family to support us. It is. I'm just overwhelmed by the graciousness and the help that they provided setting up. Rajesh did most of the work, I would say, of putting up the show. I was in the background, he would consult me, but being here in Bombay, he did a bit of it. I think we'll now give it to Shobha.
No, we'll give it to Aamir. Go for it, Aamir. Just say, just from your heart, when you look at these pictures.
Well, I'd like to congratulate both Namas and Rajesh for this wonderful book and the exhibition. It was some months back when Rajesh shared his work with me, and it's really stunning, to see such brilliance, on secular, on the page. Such amazing moments that are captured from this very historic event that we have in India. So I thought, showcasing the different emotions actually of India in many ways, and the power of faith, passion. So it's a really amazing piece of work, and I really congratulate both of you and thank you for this work that you have done. For example, I could visit your home. So for someone like me who's been unable to visit, it's taking me there. The photographs really take me into it. So I would really like to thank you. And amazing work, really. And as Rajesh was saying, there are two reasons why when I think I'm here about Shobha. One of them is Firoza and another is Rajesh. So I'm really happy to be here this evening and to join with the joy of this evening. Thank you so much.
Just looking at all the images, and most of them I know extremely intimately because I lived with the book for a while and studied it closely because I've been to the Kumbh, I've been to the earlier big Kumbh. I've gone with my sisters and my young daughter at the time, and I've been to two other mini Kumbhs. So for me it was like going right back into something that was a deeply immersive and a deeply moving experience. But what I noticed in these pictures, or the selection of these pictures, is how much has changed. Now we have selfie sadhus. There are sadhus wearing shades like Aamir would wear in his movies. See those two pictures there. And a lot of sadhus captured taking their own pictures. So that tells a whole different story of social media impacting some of the oldest akharas. They're now very well aware of what it means, what the Kumbh means, the power of iconography, the power of imagery. And that whole transition was for me as a journalist and writer very fascinating. That it's a big departure. Also the number of women that you photographed this time, as compared to the number of women who were there when I was the last time I went to the big Kumbh. I wanted to ask you both whether there is a difference between calling yourself a spiritual person or a religious person. Is there a vital difference in that?
Once you have answers.
Like us, we had this conversation on more than one occasion, I think 2 or 3 times when we were there. So this is a personal thing. I don't pretend. I can only share with you what, and I say I believe, what our family believes, and a lot of our close friends believe, and what we deeply believe, and that is spirituality transcends religion. Religion is organized by groups of people who have their own agendas, and they could be varied, not condemning religion, but I think spirituality goes way above that. And I think on many occasions we experienced spirituality rather than religion. And I would say that most of the people who we've photographed, we've documented at the Kumbh Mela, you see with their eyes. You could neglect everything else and you'll see spirituality there. Even the picture that we've chosen is a theme picture. When you can walk around, if you look closely into the eyes of that person, you'll see a reflection of the other people on the other side. And so I think that's my 2 bits on spirituality and religion.
And I want to ask then, in that case, ask Namas, as a photojournalist, seeing that 650 million people assembled this time, it was the largest assembly of human beings in the history of the world. So what is it that brings them there? Is it moksha? Is it something beyond that? Are they looking for themselves in a way that is very pure, that is not colored by anything other than a very personal search when they do the 3 snans? What was your observation, since you're a good observer of people? What did you feel? What was that energy when you saw these people, hundreds and thousands of people who come from miles and thousands across for that one moment, which is not going to be back for 144 years? What was that moment for you? What did you observe?
You saw people from all over the country, many walking for miles and miles and miles with, unfortunately, we don't have every image and we cannot document every image. But people were carrying their own luggage and walking for miles before they got there. It was only their belief and faith that made them come there. Because why would they do that? Otherwise, unless you have something which is much beyond, your daily thing. If you walk from here to, I don't know, Kola or Daisar or wherever, or with luggage on your head, or probably even to Pune. There are people who walk hundreds of miles. So there is something, and they wanted to be there on those special days. They believe and they faith in changing their now and the future and maybe the next life. It's a very hard question to, is it immediate or is it future? All of us want to live for a better future, a better present. But they don't have that much real privilege compared. So they really work at being there at that special day and special times. So it is their faith.
Would you say, Rajesh, that I know it's a bit of a generalization, but is India somehow a more spiritual nation than other nations in some way, that 650 million people can assemble where 3 rivers meet, 2 technically, and one is, of course, the Saraswati? What brings the nation together at a moment like this? It has to be something beyond just a single faith. What is that thing? What that drives people? As a neuropsychiatrist, how would you put it? Are they wired differently? Are we wired differently?
So Shobha, I think that's a rhetorical question in some ways, because I think implicit in that is that you also share the belief that this is a spiritual country. It's been a profoundly spiritual country for 4,000 years, and that's why our spiritual traditions have continued with very little change, and also that spirituality has adapted itself from time to time. And I think the Kumbh Mela reflects both the tradition, the strong, powerful spiritual tradition, and the flexibility and the adaptability, as you illustrated when you talked about social media and sadhus taking their own selfies, and so many people. I used to joke sometimes with Namas. I said, Namas, there are a lot of photographers here because everybody is a photographer today with the camera. And the other interesting thing we discovered, if you remember, Namas, is if you didn't want to take a book key, you could take an electronic book key. You could send me a photograph.
Electronic tool.
You send your picture, you WhatsApp it to somebody, he will print it over there in Prayagraj, and he will take your picture and go into the water with you after you paid him 50 rupees. After you paid for it. So that's incredible adaptability. And so, yes, I think we are a profoundly spiritual nation. And to some extent, maybe it helps us to deal with so many other problems that we face, whether it's social inequity, we had the caste system for such a long time. I think all of that, somewhere the spirituality binds our nation together. But that's in a way. Namas?
Spirituality. I grew up in an ashram school. And I studied at the Shobha International Center of Education in Pondicherry. So spirituality was very much part of it. It was not religion, but it was spirituality. I grew up in a society where it was so liberal that we believed that there would be no borders around the world. That's the way the world, there is no caste, creed, or, we divided for our own conveniences and our own boundaries. All of us do that. So, we need to get out of that. You have the economic zone, European economic zone. Now the world is going very differently, so we can't predict which way it is going to go. But eventually, I think it's a pendulum. At what point we will, that's the thing about Indian, spirituality, that it will come back. Irrespective of where it goes, the balance will come back. The balance can go up and down a little bit here and there, and it can come something. It's a personal thing. Like we are a spiritual country. We will come back to our certain.
And finally, I think the last question is usually to both of you, that how did the Kumbh experience translate into a personal transformation, if there was any? When you spend so much time, so immersed in something so monumental and a once-in-a-lifetime experience, did you come back and reflect? Are you still in the process of processing it? How did it impact you?
I think it would make a great soundbite if I said yes, I've changed. Unfortunately, the honest answer is maybe not. In the sense that, and I'm now speaking for myself, Navas, you have to speak for yourself. I think being there in that moment, immersed in that, at that point in time, was certainly a transformative experience. Not an enduring transformative experience, because I don't think that I've changed as a human being by virtue of having gone to the Kumbh Mela. I don't know if Firoza agrees. Have I become more irritable, nasty? She said yes. No, I'm not. All right.
I think it's changed since the visit.
Who changed it?
Oh, there is one way in which it will change, I must tell you this. I came back with a nasty Klebsiella pneumonia infection, which really changed me. So this is what happened, guys. I'll tell you what happened. We were up, shooting the processions. That's a process. We woke up at 8 a.m. and then had to be at a site. You have to get a location. Photography is all about getting the right place. So you go and park yourself in a strategic location by about 9 p.m. and then you're up all night and till 2 p.m. next day. So approximately 30 hours of being awake to get pictures, which became 2 pictures in this exhibition. And thinking that I'm scientifically sound, I took an N95 mask with me. because of the dust. And in 2 hours, that mask was brown with mud. You couldn't see any white in it. And I knew after that I was inhaling mud, or at least getting in this, and I started coughing. But even if I wanted to go anywhere, there was no way to get out, because we had got such a nice location that we were in the center of everything without being able to move. So we stayed up all night, and Namas and I actually rarely went to the same site for our life. He went in one zone, I went in another, so Namas was somewhere else. And I was in the center of this. And I came back and was ill for 4 or 5 days. And I went and got a test done in the hospital. And I was harboring in myself bacteria known as Klebsiella pneumonia, which is very, very nasty and resistant to all antibiotics. I'm sorry for getting into the medical stuff, but to ask me if I was changed. So, the only antibiotics that would work were IV drugs. And I don't like taking injections. And I don't want to take IV drips, and I don't like taking antibiotics. I've taken antibiotics 4 times in my life. So I decided to weather it. To cut a long story short, it took 6 months. 6 months for that infection to disappear. And every 2 weeks I was getting a sputum test done, and it was positive. So it transformed me to the extent that I realized that when we do all this, there are occupational hazards associated with it, and there is a side of spirituality, but I know it doesn't make great sound bites. I didn't come back with a halo, but I did come back with Klebsiella pneumonia.
Do you want to talk about if it did transform you?
You don't change your mind or anything like that, but every experience is you imbibe something about it. And that changes you, or you grow with it. And I think the book was an overwhelming experience in that sense. And yes, somewhere deep down you start to understand, living in Bombay or living in Bangalore where I do, and we understand the country a lot more, and people a lot more, from a variety of people, right from the lives of the sadhus, which you see close by. You imbibe something from it. You cannot say that this changed me in that sense, but we don't experience that on close quarters on a daily basis. Especially if you live here, you haven't seen a sadhu in one of these monks who's in the Himalayas or wherever he is in some gufa. When you sit across them or stand at this proximity, there are things that change you in some sense. It touches you, not changes you, but it touches you. And life is about growth. We all grow in certain ways.
Well, I can tell you that it changed me forever. And that change is still something that I cherish and value. I'll give you a small example. I was on the planks waiting for my turkey with my daughter, and one of the Naga sadhus was also next to us. And we got talking, and he turned out to be a nuclear physicist who had given it all up to join the army. It's very difficult to join the Naga akharas because they have a whole process. They don't just accept anyone. And to see this man, the modesty with which he spoke, he's stark naked, just covered in ash, so profoundly wise. He must have been in his 30s, and that he could endure the Himalayan the weather throughout the harsh cold, everything, the endurance, the discipline. It made me realize how actually, honestly, how useless and small maybe I felt at that moment, in a not a bad way. It just gave me a perspective of life, the things that I take for granted, the choices that other people make, which are so impossible for me to even think about. And that interaction keeps coming back to me each time I think of bigger things than just our daily domestic problems. And I think of that man who had left it all and done what his belief told him he must do. That's called dharma. And I respect him for it. I respect all the people who have the courage to do that. One final question. Why were no credits given for individual photographs? So when we were going through the book, I felt very frustrated. I said, is this photographed by you? Is it photographed by Rajesh? That has to be a deliberate thing, that I don't see the photo credits. Why?
These decisions are always made by the better photographer. You know, for a long time nobody knew whether Hillary or Tenzing was the first to step on the Everest. That's an agreement they made by themselves. But the terms were set by Hillary because he went first. So he told Tenzing, none of us is going to see this. So this term, before we started, was made by the better photographer, who said, we will take these pictures, but no individual credits, ever. And at times when I have tried to give an individual credit to Namas, he has not liked it. So that was one thing, the condition. But the other thing was also, and you know, this happened in photography earlier, it happened during the Mumbai disaster. I think it was Pablo Bartolomeo and Ragurai. You know, they stood side by side and they took the same picture, which often happens. The two photographers next to each other photograph the same picture. It's hard to tell which is the better picture and which one should get credit. We anticipated it in an event like this, we would probably be photographing the same things. And then it would be difficult, even for us to later figure out, unless of course we traced it back to the camera. So I think that is the other reason. And I'm not sure whether we talked about this now, but of course it was on my mind, I might have talked. That, and that's why I accepted Namas's condition, that, you know, most art of any kind tends to become an egocentric exercise. You hold this exhibition, you tell everybody, look, I am a photographer. But I think if you're not taking individual credit, you move that out of the equation. These are our pictures, we have taken them together. The photographer really doesn't matter that much. And I think that sometimes helps us, if I can feel part of the pun, to focus a little better on the work that we are doing. But just like that one quick thing, because Navas said that, you know, he grew up in Pondicherry. He spent his childhood, he studied in the school over there. His whole family has been influenced by the mother as his philosopher. And so it's a deeply spiritual experience. And today is a very special day because Namas discovered for the first time where his name comes from. His brother Avi, has he left now? Avi had a fight with that. His brother flew in actually from out of the country just to attend to our function, and there's one back. And so Avi told me in Namas's presence, and Namas was surprised. And he said, you know, your name was never Namas, it was Deepak for the first 3 years. He said, really, how come I don't know this? So Avi says, I know, because I'm 8 years older than you. You only called Deepak. And then it was seen that in Pondicherry, in the ashram, you would be there all the time with your hands joined as a child. You would spend a lot of your time spontaneously without being told, with your hands joined. And our parents decided that you were deeply spiritual and they renamed you as Namas. So of course I discovered it for the first time, Namas himself discovered it for the first time. And so Namas has always been deeply spiritual. Our book is dedicated to the mother and all the women in our lives. So I think for Namas the transformation may not be that much because you're already inherently spiritual. How much more spiritual can you become? And we hope you don't know this.
Well, you know, actually I also just wanted to listen to you. Because today, this evening is for you all, and I'm just glad to be here to listen to this interesting conversation. I don't know if people in the audience want to ask a question.
Such very remote events. India most dramatic post.
you feel India more united after this? I'm not sure in what way you mean united. If you mean politically, we've always been united. All countries. In all countries where there's politics, there's going to be divisibility. It's in the nature of politics. But if you mean in a spiritual sense, you mean spiritual. I didn't think about it, but I would like to believe yes. I would like to believe yes because of the huge media explosion. Although this is the largest home in the history of the planet, it's also the first home which has had, Maha Kumbh at least, which has had such a strong social media presence across the world. So I think many Indians who 12 years ago may not have been familiar with the Maha Kumbh Mela and its ability to bring people from all walks of life together. And you know, when you take a rookie, it doesn't matter how famous you are. You know, someone like Shobha, who is larger than life as a celebrity, when she was there, she can say, yeah, I feel humble and I feel down. You know, the rest of us are at that level anyway, so we don't feel that change. Okay? But Shobha needs to be at the Kumbh to realize that yes, you are not there. You know, I am also like Namas and Rajesh, a regular person. So I would like to believe that it does unify us more as a people.
Thank you for that wonderful toner that you've given me, and on that note, I think we can conclude this marvelous evening and enjoy the photographs. And someone wants to ask Aamir a question.
But still, Ujjain होने वाला है, कुंभ मेला होने वाला है. Even Nashik is going to happen. Is it possible आप visit करेंगे?
Actually, I would love to. So I hope that I can next time I can.
Thanks.
Bro, bhai.
Visited the US.
अमीर सर सामने ही हो. ये भाई डॉक्टर साहब सर आप भी आ जाओ प्लीज कम जॉइन दादा नीचे मत करो फोन प्लीज.
I love it. I told you I sent you an image of that. I absolutely love it.